friends, welcome back to Fiddle Lessons. Now I'm going to do a video lesson on how to structure a practice. Maybe you have a limited amount of time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You could just play whatever comes to mind, or you could make the most of that little bit of time you have. And so basically I drew up a kind of a practice outline for you that you can use. I'll put it in the comments field below so you could use it and kind of tailor it to your own practice in a way that suits you. It's a simple idea. It's basically dividing your practice into three sort of main parts, all right? Technique, tunes to review, and new tunes, all right? New tune or tunes, okay? Though those are separate parts, maybe it'll work for your style to sort of mix them together, to do not just do all your review tunes, all your technique at once. You know, it's kind of up to you. I sort of like kind of mixing things up a little bit. You could start by just doing some bowing. Depending on where you're at, if you're a beginner, you may just be doing open strings. Maybe more advanced and you're doing double stops, you could do that. You could kind of just find a nice big tone using throwaway bow. Whatever you need to get warmed up with bowing, maybe some fast bowing or some string changing. With the string crossing, you can also use perididdle, remember? And one last one is you could work on your dynamics, playing softly, getting loud, and getting soft again. So those are some general bowing ideas. You could also do like rhythms, like the hoedown rhythm. All right, so you've warmed up, you've gotten your sound. Maybe now you do a simple scale. All right, that's also part of technique. And so say you do your D scale. Then you do it again with maybe a variation of hoedown. And so on. And maybe once you feel warmed up to the scale, after a minute or so, you do a tune. And your first tune, I recommend doing a sort of warm-up tune, a tune you know well, like a go-to tune, all right? So that's under tunes to review. Just pick a warm-up tune you're good at. Carry Polka or Oh Susanna, something like that. Let's do Carry Polka, you know? So then you play that, maybe 2 A's, 2 B's, whole thing twice. Bam, you're totally warmed up. As one of my students said, that like if she does like a warm-up song and it's something she's good at, she feels like, oh, I'm a fiddler, I'm doing this. It just kind of sets the tone and puts you in a good frame of mind for doing the harder things to come. Now again, take all this as a suggestion, as a grain of salt. Everybody's got their own particular way to practice. What I'm trying to do is just to get you playing and to get you having fun while you practice. I think it's a realizable goal for you to have an amazing time, like a little party by yourself while you're practicing. Okay? So just take these as suggestions, take what you need from it, okay? And so now you've warmed up a little bit. There's maybe two directions you could go. We have new tunes we could work on. We also have tunes you can review. So I'm going to talk about things you can do with reviewing tunes. All right. So you could just sort of pick a tune to review every week. So say you're working on something new, but you want to remember Swallowtail Jig, which you did 2 months ago. You could just for a week work on Swallowtail Jig. So that after you do your warm-up tune, you're going to try to remember this. Alright, but I want to share with you another kind of strategy for reviewing older tunes. Say you're not a beginner, say you're intermediate and beyond, and you know like 30 tunes, but gosh, you can't remember them all. You need to go look up the tabs, or look up the music, or listen to it. What I want to share with you is this strategy for reviewing tunes, and actually a student of mine came up with this, and I'm sharing it with you because I thought it was such a good idea. basically, what it is you create a review set, all right? And so it's here on this outline I made, review set number 1, somewhere there, all right? And basically, what it means is you pick like 5 to 10 tunes, and you get them to the point where you can just play them. You can rattle them off, all right? So, in my sort of like example of this lesson of like a practice session, I'm going to read you some typical tunes that I teach that could be your first review set, all right? O Susanna, Kesh Jig, Shady Grove, Southwind, Arkansas Traveler, Harvest Home. So you make that sort of like your review set, and maybe you only get one tune. Maybe you can remember O Susanna. Then the next day, you got it. Now you're ready to add another tune to your review set, so you add Kesh Jig. So Kesh Jig goes, and you can also now do O Susanna. And then in that way, you slowly build up your review set so that you have this set of 5 to 10 tunes, and you can just bam, play any of them. And then you got that done, all right? So, and then once you feel really confident with that, let it go, forget about it, and start a new review set. Review set 2, 5 to 10 other songs. Hopefully that makes sense. And then eventually, once you get that second set built up, you can then, like, in 1 week do the first set, and then next week do the second set, and bounce back and forth, or even bounce back and forth day to day. So today I'm going to do review set 1. Tomorrow I'm going to do review set 2. Next day I'm going to do review set 3, and then start over, all right? I just think it's a great idea, a great method for you to keep track of this. And the student who suggested it, her name's Fiona, and she actually used Excel to organize this, which I don't really know how to do Excel, but I thought it was pretty cool that she came up with that on her own to figure this out, and that made it work for her. But you could use whatever you want. You could use it for this, and for this idea too, for having the outline. I mean, you could just do it in a paper journal or a spiral notebook. It doesn't have to be anything to do with the computer. Or you could use the computer. You could use like some sort of database thing, or even Word, or some sort of word processing thing. It's just as long as you keep a journal of these, your weekly practice thing. All right. And so, and then a note about the review set. Again, the student who kind of like came up with this idea, I think she just plays through every tune in her review set. But you don't have to do that. Like, I find a really good thing to do is, say you're working on a new tune, you're playing it, take a break from that and review a tune. So it just depends, again, on your style and what works for you, but try to just consistently do it one way if it works. All right. So that's what I would do, and that's kind of what I do in lessons. Like, if I do a lesson, I like to work on a new tune. Once a student gets it and they can kind of make it through it, then we're like, okay, let's give that a break, and we're going to review Shady Grove. All right. And then we go and do Shady Grove, and then we come back to the new tune. And then after maybe the new tune's a little better, then we go back and review a different tune. So that could be your strategy for that. All right. Finally, the last category is new tunes. Generally, like for like a week's worth of practice, I think it's a good idea not to do more than one tune. Again, it's up to you, but I think like if you really get into one tune and learn it well, a week is a good amount of time. It's just a good amount of time. Maybe you need more time even. All right. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't rush through them. Don't try to consume too many tunes. Go back and make sure you remember the old ones. Make sure you have a good sound on that tune you're working on. All right, that's another huge thing you could work on. So there's a third of the time on technique, a third on reviewing tunes, and a third on new tunes. So what can you do with the new tune? Maybe we were working on Blackberry Blossom, but that first part is really hard. So maybe like a lot of your practice time could be just getting some of the hard parts. You could even sort of notate which parts are hard in your practice journal, okay? Like, whatever it is that's hard, you could say, okay, the first quarter of the A part to Blackberry Blossom, work on that extra, all right? You could also say you have the whole tune, and the next step, like kind of like the phase 2 of the tune, is to make it sound better. So you could use all your tricks that you do in your technique practice, like for tone, like throwaway bow. But you could do that on the tune itself. So you're kind of combining the two things. So take Blackberry Blossom. You play the first note of it, then the second note, then the first two together. It may seem sort of tedious, but if you do it for like at least a whole quarter, you build it up this way. Then you'll notice that maybe at that point you'll play the whole tune and the sound will open up, all right? You'll start to sound good because you've turned your attention to it. So that's one of the things you can practice in this whole section on new tunes. I'm so proud of my little outline diagram that I made. I chose a really good font. Just really excited. I just keep wanting to show it to you. Another thing you can work on, say you've got a good sound, which I think is super important. Most fiddle players, and when they're beginners, are just on to the next tune. But if you can make like Twinkle Little Star sound really good, it's better than making Blackberry Blossom sound just like hard to listen to, right? I think that makes sense. But say you got a tune sounding good, the next thing you can do with the new tunes thing is to work on speed a little bit, all right? And just a note on that, I haven't really talked a whole lot about that in these lessons, but you can use a metronome to find out your fastest tempo. Maybe it's 100 beats per minute. All right? But you can also use a metronome to figure out what's the most comfortable tempo for you. Maybe that's 75 beats per minute. All right, and then the last thing about this sort of speed work, something that's very counterintuitive, is if you want to play something fast, being able to play it super slow to a beat, to a metronome or click track or drum machine, super slow so that it keeps you in time. That's really hard, but it'll make you more mentally on top of that tune, and you'll be more prepared to do it really fast. I don't know if you've ever tried to play a fiddle tune that slow, but it's hard, and it has tremendous benefits. Take my word for it. Of course, a lot of people just can't stand doing that, but if you can, do it a little bit, it'll help you a lot. So I think that covers everything I wanted to cover on this. The last thing you could do, going back to my diagram, outline I'm so proud of, you could have like notes. What's giving you trouble? How it went. Questions you have that you could ask your trusty teacher next time you see them. All right. So that's about it. I hope that was useful. Again, I'm going to try to put up more materials related to this on the course outline, fiddlehead.com. And that's it. I'll see you next time.